create a sacred space by calling the four directions.
East. From the east realm of light, I call the air. I summon the spirit of the wind at dawning and invoke you in the body of your creature, the great eagle. By her regal presence, grant us your infinite wisdom.
Please stand to the side of the light. Okay. South. Spirit of the sun, golden lion, we thank you and send our thoughts and blessings with you as you depart into your red realm of fire once again. Fare thee well in the will to live a joyful life that you have imparted to us.
From the realm of love, I call the water. I summon the spirit of the evening tides and evoke you in the body of your great creature, the mighty whale. By his calm presence, grant us your infinite compassion.
From the north realm of law, I call the earth. I summon the spirit of the enduring mountains and invoke you in the name of your creature, the black bull. By his steadfast presence, grant us your infinite strength. I'm Martin Mayland, and I'm so grateful we've gathered here together because we only get to meet in person once a month on the fourth Sunday. In this room, we get to listen, learn, pray, and sing together. And afterward, in the next room, we get to share refreshments and meet old and new friends. In the life of this community, there are some important things to know. This service will be available soon on the fellowship's website. In addition to our in-person services, we also meet in the virtual world via Zoom on the second Sunday of the month at 10:30. As a spiritual community of hope, courage, and compassion, we believe compassion is a fine feeling, made even better when we give it the power to actually do some good in the world. This congregation is self-supporting due to the generosity of our members and friends. The fellowship sets aside funds to support its outreach programs, including ongoing support of Community First, a village in Northeast Austin that provides comprehensive services to the homeless. Every quarter, the fellowship raises money to support a different social outreach program. This quarter, the funds will go to Austin Free Lunch, an organization providing lunches for the homeless. Every time the fellowship gathers together, we light a chalice, a symbol of the light of truth and the warmth of love. This morning, as we light the chalice, everyone is invited to say together in unison the words on the screen written by Brian Andreas. Let's start. Anyone can slay a dragon, but try waking up every morning and loving the world all over again. That's what it takes, a real hero. We're honored to have Steve Brooks as a significant contributor to today's service. Steve Brooks' life story is full of twists and turns. Born in Chicago and raised in York, Pennsylvania, he picked up a guitar at age 16 and played along with Pete Seeger records. A week before high school graduation, he spent his life savings on a guitar, a Martin D35. That's still his musical sidekick. A week later, he left for California to study philosophy and punch cows at Deep Springs College, 2 valleys west of Death Valley, the high desert. Together with thousands of miles of exploring America by thumb, awakened his love for the West. After college, he headed back east, just in time for the 3 Mile Island nuclear power accident. A year later, he was on stage with Pete Seeger, singing some original verses to This Land Is Your Land. After blockading the plant and being convicted as one of the TMI 9, he made his way from activism to journalism as a reporter for the New Orleans Times-Picayune. In 2001, he appeared on TV's I've Got a Secret, a 6-time world pun champion, and he still MCs Austin's O. Henry Pun-Off. Steve co-wrote the Slade Cleaves classic, One Good Year, and wrote other songs performed by the likes of Oscar-winning actor Russell Crowe. He also wrote a satirical song a week for Jim Hightower's nationally syndicated radio show. After many other chapters in his life, Steve is a freelance journalist and a lay speaker at Unitarian Universalist churches around the country, where he sermonizes on the spiritual sides of everything from songwriting to his dog. Please welcome Steve Brooks.
Morning, everyone. On a sleepy, endless ocean, when the world lay in a dream, there was music in the splash and roll, but not a voice to sing. Till the moon fell on the breakers, and the sunlight warmed the waves, and a single cell to jump and hum with joy, as if to say, this is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I've ever known. If I should stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Then the day shone bright around it, and the one turned into two, and the two into 10,000 things, and old things into new. Then on some virgin beachhead, one lonesome critter crawled. He looked about and shouted out in his most astonished drawl, this is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. If I should stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. And all the air was buzzing, and the ground was carpet green, and the weary children of the woods went dancing in between. And the people sang rejoicing, because their fields were glad with grain, the song of celebration from their cities on the plains. This is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. If I should stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Now there's smoke across the harbor, factories on the shore, and the world is filled with greed and will and enterprise of war. But I will rest my burdens in the cradle of her grace, on the shining beaches of her love, in the seas of her embrace. This is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. If I should stray in the dark, not alone. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Thank you all. Thank you, Dave Carter, who wrote that song. We have two readings to go with the theme of the service this morning. The first one comes from the great Lakota medicine man, Black Elk, around the turn of the last century. It's called The Offering of the Pipe. I fill the sacred pipe with the bark of the red willow, but before we smoke it, you must see how it is made and what it means. These four ribbons hanging here on the stem are the four quarters of the universe. The black one is for the west, where the thunder beings live to send us rain. The white one for the north, whence comes the great white cleansing wind. The red one for the east, whence springs the light, and where the morning star lives to give men wisdom. The yellow for the south, whence come the summer and the power to grow. But these four spirits are only one spirit after all. And this eagle feather here is for that one, which is like a father. And also, it is for the thoughts of men that should rise as high as eagles do. Is not the sky a father, and the earth a mother? And are not all living things with feet or wings or roots their children? And this hide upon the mouthpiece here, which should be bison hide, is for the earth, from whence we came, and at whose breast we suck as babies all our lives, along with all the animals and birds and trees and grasses. And because it means all this, and more than any man can understand, the pipe is holy. Now here's another point of view for a responsive reading from the Wiccan tradition and the great Wiccan author Starhawk. I will read the texts that are in normal print, and I will invite you all to read the text that are in italic as a responsive reading. I, who am the beauty of the green earth and the white moon among the stars and the mysteries of the waters. For I am the soul of nature that gives life to the universe. Let my worship be in the heart that rejoices. For behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals. And you who seek to know me, know that your seeking and yearning will avail you not unless you know the mystery. For behold, I have been with you from the beginning. And now we have a sing-along. This is a true pagan gospel song because the classic gospel song, Old Time Religion, was adapted with new verses. This version was sung by Pete Seeger, among others, which remind us about the real old-time religions. I'll invite you to sing along on the chorus. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. It was good for Aphrodite. She is beautiful, but she's flighty. When she wears that see-through nightie, she's good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. It was good for Zarathustra. Let us pray just like we used to. I'm a Zarathustra booster. He's good enough for me. So give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. It was good for the old Egyptians, building pyramids to put their crypts in, covered up with strange inscriptions. They're good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. It was good for the ancient druids, drinking strange fermented fluids, dancing naked through the woods. They're good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. It is good for New Age Aquarians hanging out in planetariums. Lots of them are Unitarians. That's good enough for me. So give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. Blessed be. I would like to start this morning by wishing you all a Happy New Year. Or should I say, Happy Samhain. Samhain, as you might know, is an ancient Celtic name for a 3-day holiday that is known by many other names. It includes Halloween, All Hallows Day, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and of course, Dia de los Muertos. In our secular version, the holiday evokes ghosts, goblins, skeletons, and masks, with which Sasak is liberally decorated this morning. Originally, though, the midpoint of autumn was a time when the walls came down between the worlds. The veils became thin between humans and spirits. The living might hope to communicate with the departed, or even share a meal. It is regarded in some quarters as the Pagan New Year. So today, I'd like to talk about the religious tradition that gave us Halloween, along with many other so-called Christian holidays. For me, it started 65 years ago, when I was born a pagan. I didn't know it at the time. It took me 25 years before I was born again. I discovered that I had been a pagan all along. It is that way for many pagans. No light shines down from the heavens. No goddess appears. What happens instead is that you've been having puzzling experiences. They feel spiritual, but they don't fit into any dogma that you've ever been taught. And then one day, you run across a strange book or a mysterious ritual, and the pieces of the puzzle fall into place. As one born-again pagan told the late NPR reporter Margot Adler, "I always knew I had a religion. I just never knew it had a name." It's a pity that the name has gotten such a bum rap for, at least 2,000 years. Hear it. The picture that springs to mind is somewhere between Cecil B. DeMille and spring break on Padre Island. You can't help but mutter, "Godless pagans." Well, the truth is, pagans are not godless. In fact, we have more gods than anyone else. What's more, Our gods are usually not jealous ones. You can be a born-again pagan and go right on, being a Christian, a Muslim, or an atheist. Your old god just has to make way for a few more. Most pagans are polytheists, worshippers of multiple deities. The world's spiritual traditions are a Luby's buffet, and you can squeeze Aphrodite, Shiva, Jesus, and white buffalo calf woman all onto the same altar. Now, if a pick and choose religion strikes you as shallow, you might reflect that newer faiths have always picked and chosen from older ones. For example, the Christian holiday called Easter takes both its name and its timing from the festival of a Saxon moon goddess. Her symbols of fertility included both the egg and the bunny rabbit. Then again, this eclectic spirituality might remind you of classical Unitarian Universalism. I became a UU in part because the seventh principle celebrated the interdependent web of existence. Its sixth source was spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Paganism has something else in common with classical Unitarian Universalism. It's hard to pin down because it's not a theology or a creed. Pagans share some common principles, but to me it's more of an attitude, a different angle for looking at creation. In these days of fire-breathing fundamentalism, it might be just the perspective we need to save religion from itself. In these days of environmental crisis, it just might help us to save civilization from itself. That's because the core principle of pagans is the worship of nature. The origin of the name takes us back to the Roman Empire, to the days when it was converting to Christianity. More precisely, the big cities were converting. Out in the boonies, people still followed the old gods and goddesses who ruled over agriculture. In Latin, the word for country dweller was paganus, and the name stuck. Pagans have never found God inside a church. We find the sacred where a breeze blows and wildflowers dance. The divine is there for Jesus when he bids his disciples to consider the lilies of the field. It's there for St. Francis when he writes, "Our sister, Mother Earth, who sustains us and governs and produces various fruits with colored flowers and green plants." 800 years later, we hear strikingly similar words from the Lakota medicine man, Black Elk. Is not the sky a father, and the earth a mother, and are not all living things with feet or wings or roots their children? It was on Black Elk's prairie that I had my first taste of religion. I was raised skeptical of all supernatural beliefs, but as I discovered the great outdoors, I began to experience an awe for which I had no name. When I was 21, I spent a summer in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I watched the sun set behind a mesa, and I inhaled the perfume of burning sage. To my secular surprise, I sensed the ineffable presence of some kind of great spirit. I let go of those memories as I returned to the big city and to the workday grind. And then came Groundhog Day. To the secular world and to fans of Bill Murray, February 2nd is a minor holiday. But to pagans, it is one of the 8 great Celtic holy days. 4 of them are the winter and summer solstice, the spring and fall equinox. The other 4 days fall halfway in between, like Halloween. February 2nd marks the midpoint of winter and spring. In the American version, the groundhog awakens from wintry slumber. And That evening, something awakened in me. When I first walked into the ritual, I was having flashbacks to Rosemary's Baby. I had no idea that the pentagram, a 5-pointed star inside a circle, was an ancient symbol for the element of earth. But then I caught a whiff of burning sage, and memories began tumbling out. As a priest called the Four Directions, my mind's eye took me to the highest peak in the Black Hills, with the circle of the plains stretching off in all directions. As he invoked the four elements of earth, air, fire, and water, I imagined myself standing beside rivers and peering into campfires. Here was a set of religious symbols I could relate to. What's more, here was a process for communing with nature, even in a house in the suburbs. By the end of the evening, I had a name for what I had always been. I was a born-again pagan. You might notice that when I talk about being pagan, I include both Native American elements and Celtic ones. To me, it's all nature worship. But to give you an idea of how broad the umbrella can be, I would like to sketch out a few of the major traditions. To me, the purest forms are indigenous, the ones least divorced from Mother Earth. From the Yoruba of West Africa to Aboriginal Australians, the worldview is much the same. My schooling came in the piney woods of East Texas, in a Native American sweat lodge. I was taught that the four-leggeds, the creepy crawlies, the plants, and the rock brothers were all my relations. Each had a lesson to teach. I could improve my attention by observing a hawk on the hunt. I could learn about teamwork by inspecting a colony of ants. When you see spirits in every direction, it's easy to worship multiple gods. And here's where pagans get hard to classify. Some take their deities from the Celtic pantheon, while others borrow from Greeks, Romans, Egyptians, and Norse. Many believe in a great spirit over and above the rest, but not necessarily an old man with a beard. For pagans, the CEO of creation is just as likely to be a she. God's gender is perhaps the biggest dividing line among pagans. Personally, I think of God as gender fluid. But many pagans kick Father God completely out of the house. They give first place to the great goddess, the divine mother, whose body is the universe. In the oldest archaeological digs in Europe, we find her figurines, naked and pregnant. As civilizations rose and fell, she went by many names. They called her Isis, Astarte, Aphrodite, Tara, and the Blessed Virgin Mary, to name a few. In modern-day America, the leading goddess tradition is Wicca, or more familiarly, witchcraft. Of all the breeds of heathens, witches have gotten the worst PR. So it's worthwhile to set a few things straight. For one thing, they don't worship the devil. They don't even believe in the devil. Satan is a Judeo-Christian character. For another thing, very few witches go around casting curses. That's because they believe in the threefold law, a sort of triple scoop karma. It cautions that every action you send out into the world will boomerang back on you, not once, but 3 times over. What today's witches are really doing, in my view, is reconstructing a European tradition of nature magic, one that was wiped out by witch hunts centuries ago. The Old English meaning of Wicca is to bend. And the aim of many Wiccans is to bend reality. They attempt it by bending their own minds, which they believe are invisibly connected to the forces of nature. Their techniques for altering consciousness are not so different from an old-fashioned Catholic Mass. They use incense and music, color and chanting to speak directly to the unconscious. Of course, they also use other practices that you don't normally find in a church. Witches like to dance. Some do it naked. Some visualize a cone of energy and shoot it off into the world at a target where healing is needed. Whether or not you believe literally in magic, such a ritual can have enormous emotional power. It can heal wounds in our own hearts. And to me, that sounds like magic. The topic of magic raises a nagging question about the pagan revival, particularly among you youths who are humanist or rationalist. Why now? In an age of progress, why go back to our most primitive, quote unquote, religious beliefs? In an age of science and rationality, why embrace the irrational? Contrary to what you might think, most modern pagans are quite high tech. But we sense that technology has put our lives out of balance. Living in air-conditioned houses, walking on concrete, we've cut ourselves off from our mother. That's one reason that we treat her so badly. And as anyone can tell you who has survived a Gulf Coast hurricane or a Western wildfire, she's getting upset. Nowadays, the science of ecology is mending the ways of technology. Organic farming, green building, and renewable energy make it more sustainable. But paganism can add a spiritual dimension. It's hard to clear cut an old forest if you see the trees as your brothers and sisters. A deeper lesson of spiritual ecology is that when nature slides out of balance, so too does human nature. When psyches tip too far to the rational, to the right brain, people start doing very irrational things. They calculate just how much arsenic is safe to drink. They drill deeper for oil while their coastal cities get flattened by floods. Pagans offer us techniques to bring our conscious and unconscious minds back into balance. And they're ones that have worked for thousands of years. When insanity masquerades as reason, it may be that an ecstatic dance, a drum circle, or a sweat lodge is just what the witch doctor ordered. It's cheaper than therapy and a lot more fun. Fun is another thing a pagan perspective can bring to mainstream religion. To creeds that are obsessed with guilt and sin, pagans say, lighten up. The pleasure principle is as sacred as faith, hope, and love. Writes the California witch Starhawk, the world is not a flawed creation, not something which we must escape, not in need of salvation or redemption. Witchcraft does not maintain, like the first truth of Buddhism, that all life is suffering. On the contrary, life is a thing of wonder. For a born-again pagan, the Garden of Eden is neither a myth nor a fragment of history. It is our birthright. It is a living reality which opens its gates the same moment we open our eyes. Why paganism and why now? Because our time is short. If we are to head off climate change, mad science, and holy wars, if we are to be born again as a sustainable civilization, we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. And now we have another sing-along to close. It's another pagan gospel song, this one that I wrote. I will sing the chorus by myself the first time through, and then I will line out the words for you as we go along. So you can join in. I believe this is Lois's favorite song of mine. I'm a born-again pagan. Down deep in my soul, my church is the wildwood by the rivers that roll. Anywhere that I wander, on my mother, the earth, I'm a born-again pagan in the land of my birth. Now they burned me out early on brimstone and hell. I could only believe in what I saw for myself. Then I walked in the desert, breathed cool mountain air. I felt something sacred, and it said me a prayer. Now I'm a born-again pagan. Now I'm a born-again pagan. Down deep in my soul. Down deep in my soul. My church is the wildwood. My church is the wildwood by the rivers that roll. By the rivers that roll. Anywhere that I wander, anywhere that I wander, on my mother, the earth, on my mother, the earth, I'm a born-again pagan. I'm a born-again pagan in the land of my birth, in the land of my birth. Now the wind is my hymnal, my choirs, the creek, hear the words of the gospel, where the eagle does preach. Hear Gabriel's trumpet in the call of the loon. See the Garden of Eden, where bluebonnets bloom, because I'm a born-again pagan. I'm a born-again pagan. Down deep in my soul, down deep in my soul. My church is the wildwood. My church is the wildwood by the rivers that roll, by the rivers that roll. Anywhere that I wander, anywhere that I wander, on my mother, the earth, on my mother, the earth. I'm a born-again pagan. I'm a born-again pagan in the land of my birth, in the land of my birth. Now, a god and a goddess have different names, but take off the makeup, they're one and the same. So Christians and pagans, if in love you believe, let us share this creation. Amen. Blessed be, because I'm a born-again pagan. Let's see how well you know it now. Down deep in my soul, my church is the wildwood by the rivers that roll. Anywhere that I wander, on my mother, the earth, I'm a born-again pagan in the land of my birth. Oh, come to the church in the wildwood. It's the land of my birth. Now we will conclude this service by releasing the four directions.
That was wonderful, Steve. As we called the four directions to open our service, so we will close our service by releasing the four directions in the reverse order in which we called them. When we bid farewell to the four directions, we will extinguish the chalice. I represent the North. Spirit of Stone, Black Bull, we thank you and send our thoughts and blessings with you as you depart into your dark realm of earth once again. Fare thee well in the strength of the law that you have imparted to us.
The West. Spirit of the tides, mighty whale, we thank you and send you our thoughts and blessings with you as you depart into your blue realm of water once again. Fare thee well in the compassion of love that you have imparted to us.
Spirit of the South, Golden Lion, we thank you and send our thoughts and blessings with you as you depart into your red realm of fire once again. Fare thee well in the will to live a joyful life that you have imparted on us.
The East. Spirit of the wind, great eagle, we thank you and send our thoughts and blessings with you as you depart into your clear realm of air once again. Fare thee well in the wisdom of the light that you have imparted to us.
Please join us in the other room for camaraderie and refreshments.
They're creepy and they're